Welcome Motivation Sunday. Welcome Motivation Sunday.
Welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Evan and Friends. I'm going to tell you, I'm sitting here in, what is it? Ogden, Utah. Beautiful. I'm in a beautiful Marriott courtyard. Pasquale, thank you for letting me use your conference room this morning to do our podcast this morning. We have been doing this for almost 4 years. It'll be 5 years, August 4th. We've had over 300 shows. Um, Matter of fact, we're catching up with the original quotes. We had 300 original quotes I had created from the contents of my book. Based on interpretation perspective, we created this show. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm 2 hours behind you guys here in Ogden, and I'm living life. Had a little what it is altitude sickness yesterday, but I adjusted with the patches and just having a good time. We are. We have a great quote today by Winston Churchill. The voice of our show is also the young man that's bringing the quote, Mr. Naheem Garcia. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. I am joined with my co-hosts, Vanessa, Lois, PJ, and Larnez. It's a full house today. So, without any further ado, the voice of our show, Mr. Naheem Garcia, you brought us a great quote by Winston Churchill. And for those of you guys that don't know, although some of us may sit there and, go through the history of who Winston Churchill really was, but, he was a person that brought the United States through the World War II, and he became known for his resilience, his courage, and powerful speeches. His leaderships remind us that perseverance often becomes a bridge between hardship and hope. And hopefully, this quote uh, brings that bridge together again. So, Naheem, in the voice of the show, go ahead, give us a quote, and then tell us how this quote landed on you.
All right. So this quote is if you're going through hell, if you're in hell, go through it. I'm sorry. I'm all in. If
All right, wait a
I'm
minute,
just
wait a minute.
I'm
Take
just
two,
waking up.
take two,
All
take
right,
two.
take two.
Naheem Garcia.
Take two. If you're in hell, keep going. Is that it? Yeah, I did it right.
No,
You're
if you're going through
going
hell,
through hell. Keep
That's what
keep
I
going.
going.
wanted to say, but I thought it was it because I don't have. I'm going
Nope.
from memory.
Nope. Brilliant. It's brilliant.
If you're going through hell, keep going.
Keep
Mm-hmm.
going. All right, Naheem, how does quote land on you?
Actually, it cracks me up. I when I first heard it, I couldn't stop laughing, and I'm like, because it was just so simple, but it had so many layers, right? If you're going through hell, keep going. And my thing is, well, some people might think you're going deeper into hell, but the reality of life is you got to go through it. There's no other way around it. Because if you try to get out of it and go back, you stay in hell. But something about going through hell and keep going, you got to go through things. And sometimes you got to see it all the way through, even if it's tough. Being in hell is a reality. We live in hell. We live in hell and heaven. We live on the planet where we have an opportunity for both things. But when you're going through hell, keep going because at some point you will get out. And at some point, you can't stand still in hell, in pain, in suffering. You have to go through it. As the great saying that this too will pass, that's what will happen if you're in hell. So when it fell on me, I couldn't stop laughing. And I was thinking about how can I hit everybody? Because I like things very simple. And I like simple dialogue and I like simple quotes. And this one was so simple that it had so many layers because you got to think about it. If you are in hell, do you stand there and take it and keep going through it? Or do you walk through it? Or do you move through it to get to the other side? And it's important to get to the other side because motivation is everything. In hell, will stop you, will freeze you, will keep you there. So how do you get yourself motivated to keep going through it? And, resilience is it. And Winston Churchill, if anybody was a perfect example of that, was Winston Churchill during World War II. You could say a lot of things, but he orchestrated a lot. He figured out how to get the United States involved to back off the Germans, and they were getting bombed all the time. Can you imagine running to the subways so you can survive? And no matter how much they were getting bombed, no matter how bad it was looking, a few good people jumped in and took care of business. Not just the country, but a few good people helped them get through hell. Because if you listen to his story, there's always a few people. There's two or three people that did the ultimate and the unbelievable, and that says a lot about individuals, about you. You as an individual have the power to make things happen. You can make a miracle. You alone can save the world sometimes. Think about how many times you may have saved the world with one word. So I leave you with the one word that I think saves the world: peace.
Yep. And I'm going to add on my one word, kindness. It's amazing. You said it earlier, Naheem. Simple sometimes becomes complicated. You know, um, Ask yourself, what do you do when life doesn't always go according to plans? When you brought this quote in, it made me think about having an honest conversation about resilience, not pretending pain doesn't exist or understanding that our emotions doesn't deserve acknowledgement without allowing them to define who we are and what our future is. This quote is not simple. It is complicated when you really peel back the layers of what this quote really is. When you're going through hell,
Mm-hmm.
keep going. Some people go through hell and they nap.
Stay.
I would say nap there. Uh,
Woo, nap.
so yeah, nap. And sometimes, Rumpelstiltskin, his story. So um I'm gonna turn this over to Lois and see how this quote lands on Miss Lois. How's this quote land on you?
The island girl, Jamaica it is. So, grand rising, everyone. I know that beautiful smile gets to you all the time, right?
Yes.
So, in Jamaica, we would say it never, when it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. In America, we say it never rains for me, it only pours. So maybe that's the first time you're hearing that one. But I'm going to just bring it right back to current events, starting with the Knicks in the fourth quarter.
Congratulations.
Frustration, wanting to quit. I can just imagine the fourth quarter. I was taking care of my mom, and I'm hearing in the background because I'm trying to get everything done for this event that's coming up on Father's Day next week. Thanks again for your support, guys. And I'm like, okay, I gotta turn my mom. So I went to turn her, and the Knicks had a great shot. I'm like, whoa, yes, we won. Only to realize that they didn't win. They still have 5 more seconds to go. And I was like, geez, I know it's nail biting. A lot of my friends had gone to bed. They were cursing on Facebook. They were fighting. They were doing everything that was natural, I guess. But when I saw that last tried 3-pointer, I was like, and before I could say, oh my God, it was right there to put it in. And they won the game. And that was like, it changed the whole dynamics, the whole dimension, the whole everything. I mean, it just goes to show they were in hell and it was burning. They weren't just in hell, it was burning hell. And but they said, and what I really like, they say one game at a time. Sorry, one game at a time. So one game at a time, that's all it takes, man. You just gotta be there, man. They were in hell, and I like it. I really like it. So when you think you're in hell, other people are going through more hell. So just keep going, and you'll see the end results. Thank you.
And we cannot be a global platform without recognizing greatness. I mean, I got a chance last night to actually speak to Jalen Bronson's neighbor, and 50 years of not having a championship and keep plugging away at life is just like being an actor waiting for your great opportunity. There's a guy that he's in John F. Kennedy movie. He plays John Kennedy Jr. 14 years he's been an actor, and he was about to give up. And all of a sudden, he lands the role of his lifetime. We all have to understand resilience, perseverance. You know, it is going to be your number when your number comes up. It's just what do you do when your number comes up? All right. We all go through it. And no one can explain how going through something better than Miss Vanessa Vida. And before you give us your share, I'm going to turn it back over to the voice of our show and get Naheem Garcia to deliver the quote for some of us that are just waking up this morning and tuning in. Naheem?
If you're going through hell, keep going.
All right.
Grand rising, grand riches, grand love to all. Yeah, I absolutely love Churchill. I'm actually married to a Brit, and I have a very strong connection to a lot of English history. I'm actually a historian, and it's just really brought me to really learn about myself and my purpose in this world as well. And I gotta bring it back to being a mom because as mothers, oh, we go through hell. How? Well, what is the biggest torture mechanism? Anyone want to answer that?
Marriage.
Sleep deprivation. Marriage, I wish. Sleep deprivation. And when you're a mother, you don't sleep. You're either nursing a baby, you're doing laundry, you're cooking, you are worrying, you're having to do this, you're having to do that. And it gets overwhelming and you end up feeling like everything's on top of you and you are in your own personal hell. But guess what? You got to keep going. Right? Because that baby's crying. You need to feed it. You need to get them to the doctor. You need to take care of yourself. So you need to keep going. And when that baby looks up at you and says, I love you, mama, that is worth all of that hell. And yeah, that is all worth it. So you got to keep going. It's just like the world is round. We can travel and we go through bumps and through parts of it that is hell. But we have to know that heaven is on the other side. You just have to believe in the journey and keep going in resilience. We're all stars, so keep shining, y'all, and keep traveling through this beautiful world we call Earth. Cheers.
In the reality of this quote and the conversation you're having, it just says that every setback becomes the turning point to something's good. So, and I know, PJ, when we talk about simple, simple becomes complicated. You and I have bounced this quote back and forth all this week, and it's been fun, it's been joyous, and then sometimes it's been sad. Now I want to see what the quote actually had connected with you. So, PJ, how's this quote land on you?
So, Naheem, thank you. Simple. But simple isn't easy. Larnez sent me something this week. Thank you for the inspiration, Larnez. I'm going to read it to you. Listen to how she laughs through the tough times. Notice how the pain and burdens don't weigh her down. She has the ability to find magic in every single moment. So, at times, the best you can do is put one foot in front of the other. You don't have the answers, you don't feel inspired, you don't even know if you're headed in the right direction. But you know that just standing still is not an option. Churchill's advice reminds us that we don't need to solve everything today. We don't need to understand why it happened. I say why is never a useful question. We only need the courage for the next step and the one after that. If you're grieving, keep going. If you're rebuilding after failure, keep going. If you're carrying a burden no one else can see, keep going. Because the only thing worse than going through hell is pitching a tent and deciding to live there. This week, don't measure your progress by how far you have left to go. Measure it by the simple fact that despite everything, you are moving forward. And think about this. That hell you're going through might simply be a redirect. The universe putting you back on your true path. And there's homework. No matter what hell you're going through, say thank you. Then figure out what it is you're grateful for. Now repeat after me. God's got me. God's got me. The end.
Turning pain into purpose. And it's as you always say, the end. I think the end is always the beginning. I think we start our life knowing that where the end is, but that little space in between the day that we were born is the life that we live. All right, we know there's an ending. So yeah, we all go through it. All right, but on the other side, all right, is that big surprise. That's the reason why God gave us all 32 teeth. And my suggestion would be, while you still have them all, keep smiling. All right. So Lonez, all right. I know since you and PJ been going back and forth talking about this quote, and she came up with something so dynamic. All right. I know there's another chapter to this story between you and PJ and how this quote lands on you. So tell us, based on your perspective or interpretation, how does this quote by Winston Churchill land on you?
Well, first and foremost, blissful rising and yay, Knicks, because you know I'm from New York. I'm sorry. Back to the quote.
All right. You can have your moment. Go ahead and congratulate Knicks for being the NBA national champion. You know,
Mhm.
uh, it's always been 50 years. They deserve it. It was by far, and I will speak for the rest of the world, one of the most exciting series. Can't take anything away from Houston. You know, that young brother's going to have his day sooner or later. He's got plenty to go. The average age on their team was it 20 something odd years of age. The oldest person is 25 years old. You know,
Mhm.
um, every father became the son before he became the father. So that's where you learn from your elders. All right. So ain't no shame of being number two when you played against the best in number one, New York Knicks. All right, national champion. We take our hats off to you. So go ahead. You can have your moment, Lonez.
Okay. Well, I think people misunderstand this quote. If you're going through hell, keep going. Because they hear motivation, I hear grief. I hear it as a moment you realize that becoming who you're meant to be will cost you the person you spent years learning how to survive as. And nobody prepares you for that. Nobody tells you that there will be days when you miss versions of yourself that were hurting, not because they were healthy, not because they were whole, but because they were familiar. Sometimes I think the hardest part of transformation is not becoming someone new. It's mourning someone who is still alive. Mourning the woman who accepted less because she was afraid of having nothing. Mourning the woman who convinced herself she was asking for too much when she only was asking for what she deserved. Mourning the woman who called self-abandonment love, who called exhaustion strength, who called survival living. And then one day you wake up and you realize you cannot take her where you're going. You love her, but she cannot come. And there is a loneliness in that realization that is difficult to explain because healing creates distance, distance between who you were and who you are becoming, distance between the life you once felt so normal in and the life your soul now desires, distance between the people who understood your wounds and the people who will understand your healing. And in this space, everything feels uncertain. You have released the crumbs, but the feast has not arrived. You have left the shore, but you cannot yet see land. You have outgrown the cage, but your wings are still learning how to trust the sky. I have to be honest, it is difficult to starve while you reach for the feast. Difficult to release what is available for what is possible. Difficult to trust abundance when your history has taught you scarcity. There are nights when your old self comes back not to sabotage you, not to destroy you, simply to ask if you're sure. Sure you want to leave? Sure you want to risk disappointment again? Sure you want to believe in something bigger than what you've known? And if you listen closely, you realize she's not your enemy. She's frightened. She's tired. She's carrying every wound you've ever survived. She remembers every rejection, every heartbreak, every prayer that seemed unanswered, every time hope hurt. So before you move forward, sit beside her for a moment. Hold her hand, let her cry, thank her. Thank her for carrying the burdens you were never meant to carry. Thank you for keeping you alive long enough to reach this chapter. Thank her for surviving seasons that would have broken someone else. And then, when the time comes, kiss her gently on the forehead and whisper, "You don't have to protect me from my future anymore. You don't have to convince me to stay where it's safe. You don't have to survive for me anymore. I'm ready to live." Because perhaps that is what this quote is really about. Not enduring hell, but refusing to build a home there, refusing to return to an old version of yourself simply because they are familiar, refusing to confuse fear with intuition, refusing to abandon your becoming. And so you keep going with tears in your eyes, with uncertainty in your heart, with grief in your hands. You keep going because somewhere beyond the loneliness, beyond the hunger, beyond the fire, the life you've been mourning yourself into is waiting. And for the first time, you don't have to protect me from my future anymore. I am complete.
And you are complete. And processing your emotions is tough, but the hard part about processing those emotions is suppressing them at the same time. We have come to that time in the show. Like I said, we all know that there's an ending, but there's always a beginning. With every 20, with the start of every 24 hours, there's always a beginning. We don't pick up where we left off yesterday. We start anew every single day. And, when I originally got this quote from Naheem, I had started making some notes because as simple as it was, it became very complicated. And I believe God always sends us messages. So I sit here today in Ogden, Utah, and I've had experience, like I said, Pasquale, thank you for allowing me to use your conference room here at the Marriott Courtyard here in Ogden, Utah. But for the last couple of days, I've witnessed what this quote is all about when you talk about resilience. With many friends, 300 new friends that I have experienced, they told up to a race called the Everest Challenge. It's in Snow Basin Ski Resort in Utah. It's 300 participants. They paid a humongous fee in order to climb the distance of Mount Everest. It's 13 laps up, a total of 29,000, 29 feet in the air. If you've ever flown in a plane, most planes fly at the altitude of 3,000 feet. People were climbing it. And so when I look back at this quote versus what I originally wrote, which was so simple, I look at the complications of what each and every person had to go through. You have people from all walks of life. A 16-year-old, and the oldest I think was 70 or 80 something like years of age. They all started up this mountain, and I'm going to tell you, from the bottom of it, it looks like a hill until I took the gondola to the top of it and realized that I can see over 3 or 4 states looking at the top of this hill, this mountain. Every single person started out as one person. Every person that finished the race or got to the top of it became someone new. There were many people that only made it to 3 laps. Some people stopped after the first ascent, but 60% of those 300 made it to the top and did all 13. 60% of those people came back and found out who they really were. When you talk about your why, is when life challenges you, and we call it hell, and pushes you to the point that um, you just can't do it anymore. You know, one of my favorite quotes is always focus on the step, not the staircase. And when you're climbing 29,000 feet into the atmosphere, there's no staircase. You are the step. You're the elevator. You're that zip line. And when you get to the top of it, no matter how much you have gone through in those 13 attempts, you come back someone totally different. You get a chance to know exactly who you are. And once you've accomplished something that's so difficult that other people are just giving up on, you find out that life is easy. I like it like that. I tell you, I like it like that. And so when you talk about when you're going through hell, it's just like every snowstorm or whatever the case may be, every heartbreak and every breakup. All right, just keep going. Just don't give up. Winston Churchill, um, you know, we're emotional people and we learn from our emotions, but do not unpack and live in your pain. Keep going, one step, one breath, 1 minute, one day at a time. My grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life that you can help someone else out, he said it's your duty to do so. With that said, he said, reach one, teach one. And we what, guys?
Fade to black.
Fade to black.
And make sure you come back.
That's right. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like what you've heard, you can go to our YouTube page and look up RMK Production and Network. You can subscribe, follow, make comments. I leave that up to you. We're just happy that you tuned in. So until next time, we're going to bring back another dynamic quote. It's going to be Father's Day next week. So hats off. And again, I want to thank my host, the Marriott Courtyard in Ogden. I also want to thank where I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I gained 5 pounds since I've been here. Slackwater Restaurant, where I posted the other day. I hated the people because they were too kind. I hated the food because it was so good. The atmosphere was so beautiful. I hated it because I couldn't do it. And I went every single day because I hated going there because I couldn't get enough of it. So if you get to Utah, Ogden, stop in to see my friends at Slackwater Cafe and just enjoy yourself. And to all those people that did the Everest climb, 29029, my hat goes off to you. No matter if you did one repeat on there or all 13 climbs, my hat goes off to you because I met a lot of new people that started out old but came back new. So with that said, until next week, go Knicks. Congratulations to the state of New York and around the world, everyone that's a New York Knicks fan. Congratulations, champions. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Welcome Motivation Sunday with Kevin and friends.